Andrew McGahan for SevereMMA, standing alongside John, the man who can Kavanagh. I've decided we're going to bring that nickname back, because really it seems the last couple of weeks all you've been having is success.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. Been asked a few times, what's the secret? And the secret is the guys have been training for almost 10 years now, and I believe that's the same for in any activity. If you're doing it, if you love it, and you're training it correctly, fast forward 10 years, people are going to start calling you talented.
Oh, your favourite word. And I suppose when you have a lot of faith in your fighters, the talent will always show. But one thing you said in Dublin that I think was overshadowed completely is that these guys are all around the same age. They're all around the 25, 26, 27 mark. How key do you think that was to their development, that they were all maybe starting at the same time, progressing the same way, although with gunning and grappling progress a lot quicker than the others? Do you think that had anything to do with it?
Yeah, there's a bunch of factors. You probably saw I tweeted that picture of Ash and Gunnar making their debut with me. That's 7 years ago. 7 years later, they're still training every day. They're eating right every day. They've got the right mentality. And now we're starting to get those results. But that's how long it takes, because now I'm starting to get a little bit more inquiries from US-based fighters and UK-based, European-based fighters that are already in the UFC, as if they're going to come in. And I see that happening with other teams, like people join that team because it's having success, and 3 months later they try to fight and win and they're not getting the results. Because it's not going to happen overnight. There's not a special punch that only we know. Everybody knows the same techniques, more or less. I do think we have slight technical advantage as well. But it's more so that they've been together as a team, almost as a family for all these years. And, we're starting to get the deserved results now.
Does this mean it's going to be a closed-door policy, or are you going to let guys come in and see what they feel about it, or ultimately the decision will rest with you whether they stay or not?
Well, the response that I give is that I would only let them join if they understand that their next fight won't be until I say they're ready. And that usually just, no, they're not interested. And that's fine. I have enough fighters, because like I said, this type of relationship that I have with my top guys, it has been developed over almost a decade. And it takes a while. There's a trust, a bond that grows over time. I don't think it can be forced. I don't think it can be rushed. And I wouldn't have somebody join my team and have them competing until I feel I'm ready. We do have that type of bond, and it takes time.
Do you think there's a certain arrogance among professional fighters? Because I know a lot of your amateur team and a couple of guys that have joined your amateur team, for example, Blaine O'Driscoll, and I'm sure you would have had the same reasoning with them. You don't fight until I say you're ready to fight under SBG, and those guys would have said, yeah, no problem, let's get to it. What's the difference there? Is it an ego thing from a professional point of view?
It could be a financial thing. Maybe they're in a rush to make some more money, and that's fine. I understand that. It's a short game. But I have to be honest to myself, and I'm honest to them as well, and saying, well, look, you're not going to come in and 2 weeks later you're rock star. Suddenly you're moving the way the guys are moving, and you have all of our sequences down. It takes time, and if you want to invest that time, that's great. I'm going to be there for you. If you don't, well, you're welcome to come in as a sparring partner, but I won't corner you. So we've had people take us up on that offer, that they just come over for a week sparring, and that's great. That's kind of cannon fodder for my guys. It's a good experience from these sparring guys from other teams. So that's fine too. They can just drop in for a short period.
Something I asked Cathal earlier, a word that seems to have creeped into the SBG vocabulary recently is camp. Was usually we don't do camps. Can you explain it in detail from when you said we don't do camps, blah, 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 but now it is coming in a little bit? Are you more talking about the breakdown of getting the weight right and certain scenarios that are going to come up in a fight?
Yeah, different words have different meanings to people. Like you said, certain words like talent, they kind of irk me. But I know what people are saying. But maybe for the average person, they don't understand that no matter what activity you think of, if you think of someone who's an expert level in it, they didn't have that expert level on day one. I guarantee you, and I've read enough about it, and it's not my opinion. When you go with the evidence for all of these cases, it's always that the person has been doing it at a high level for around about 10 years, and then all of a sudden they'll be described as talented. Now, if you want to use the term camp, it's because the fight was announced. We get about 2 months' notice on a fight, and the catch-all term for that 2 month period is a camp. But the guy, like I was saying in previous interviews, when you look at the likes of, say, Gunnar now, that's getting these fantastic results, he's been training at a high level with me for the past 9 years. He made his debut 7 years ago. He started with me about 9 years ago. He eats clean all year, every year. He trains. He's in the gym all day, every day. For all of these years, he misses a week here and there due to travel or illness or something like that. But we don't do it in a way that, okay, you don't bother training. And I've heard this so many times, and I find it so surprising that a high-level guy won't bother training until he's told he has a fight. That tells me that the person's not doing it for the right reasons. They don't do it because they love it. They do it because maybe they want some fame or they want some money. But either way, you're not going to get very far. I don't think anyway. I don't think you're going to get to a high level. Whereas if you're just doing it day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and then suddenly you're called for a fight, okay, you might, just to make English easy, you would call that period a camp. But we train consistently, and that's why we're getting the results that we are.
Do you think with the results it's going to cause, I wouldn't say a revolution, but we'll say a mini revolution in the MMA world, that guys are actually going to start following the way you're doing it, and maybe fighters are going to see, well, look at the success Conor McGregor's had, maybe I should be training all year round, maybe I should get rid of the term camp and stop being a part-timer, as Conor would say. Do you think that's going to catch on, or do you think it's caught on in any degree in Ireland where the scene is smaller?
Yeah, I mean, I see my amateur guys now are putting in more hours than probably the average pro. They like just hanging out in the gym all day long and improving on their skills all day long. Maybe that's something as well that's a little bit different. I think a lot of these guys, they get to a certain level and then that's it. There's no more going to class. You meet up, you spar hard, you lift weights and you go home. And that's certainly not how we do it. I mean, my guys are still putting on the gi and jumping into a jiu-jitsu class, or putting on their gloves and going in and doing a kickboxing class, improving their skills all the time, light sparring, no strength and conditioning really. And you can see the technical difference between them, and I think we'll see that on Saturday. We did see it on Saturday with Conor, and I believe we're going to see that on Saturday again. I think it's going to be a very brief and a very one-sided affair because of this massive skill difference.
Two quick things and I'll let you go. In terms of the Conor fight, I know you try not to listen to what people say if it has a negative impact, but from casual fans in Ireland and casual people watching it, some people are even claiming Poirier took a dive or it was fixed. What I was trying to say is the point that Conor hit him at is kind of the balance spot. You saw Cahill got hit there against Mike King, and that's what put him down. What do you do with something like that? Because there's always going to be questions, I think. Unless Conor literally kills the man stone dead, I think there will always be a question mark over his performance. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's their job, bud, and I'm okay with that, because let's say, for example, he does the perfect fight against the perfect opponent, and then guys on Sunday go, all right, well, I guess that's it. I'm not really all that interested in seeing him again. He's perfect. That'd be a disaster. We want and we need people to say, okay, you beat him, but what about this guy? And then that generates interest. That's the entertainment interest. That generates interest in the next fight. So I genuinely hope all of his fights are in such a way that when it happens, when the win happens, the internet becomes alive with people saying, yeah, okay, you beat that guy, but you haven't beaten the wrestler yet, or you haven't beaten this new upcomer. Brilliant, because it's going to more pay-per-view, more ticket sales, and it keeps Conor in the lifestyle he's quickly becoming accustomed to.
On that, did you steal the bathrobe?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, exactly. Well, finally, before we let you go, I've known you somewhat for 4+ years, and I have to say recently, from the outside, it seems the happiest you have been. Is that a fair thing to say? Just everything seems to be clicking, as you say, the perfect storm. Everything is going right.
Yeah, we had some really tough times over the last few years. Some of it's been documented. Most of it I haven't actually said publicly, and I won't, about what my fighters have gone through, what I've gone through, and to suddenly have it all start turning positive is it's just nice to see that when a bunch of people who were very passionate about it did it when there was no money, did it when there was no real chance of getting money out of this, and then suddenly the perfect storm, things start clicking into place, and the guys are starting to reap some of the rewards. It makes me very proud, and I hope we can keep it going.
Excellent, John. We appreciate the time. Best luck on Saturday.